don't sit back and just wait for this to be over and feel like you're being impotent and there's nothing you can do. There's so much you can do, and there's so much that people need. Welcome to the Ignited Recovery Podcast, a new way forward for anyone looking for answers but feeling left out. If you've been searching for empowerment, triumph, and purpose, you've found them right here. You won't hear the same solutions, and you're not going to have any excuses to fall back on, because Ignited Recovery allows heroes to rise and become their best selves. I'm Dr. Adi Jaffe, and I can't wait to be your guide on this journey. Are you ready to become an ignited hero? Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Ignited Recovery Secrets Podcast. We are in week, God knows what, of a corona outbreak. And so, like everybody else, we have to get creative. So I'm going to make this a completely different episode than everything we've ever done before. And I'm just going to talk about stories. But specifically, the last couple of episodes, I've talked about how we have to figure out a way to get control. We have to figure out a way to get creative. We have to figure out a way to do what we know how to do to make the world a better place. And it was kind of abstract, and I gave you some ideas and things of that nature, but I want to get more specific. So what I did today, and we will have links to these, but what I did today is I did some research on some of the amazing things that are happening right now, some of the amazing ways in which people have done exactly what I've mentioned, which is take control of what they can in this moment, celebrate their successes, celebrate their abilities to help make all of our lives better, including theirs. So I'm just going to talk through a bunch of these examples. I'm not going to get to all of them because I'm literally finding dozens and dozens and dozens, but I will give links at the bottom to these stories. As I was reading this, I was tearing up. So I don't know. Maybe I'll end up crying today. I don't know. But I want to start out with what I've seen celebrities do, which has been pretty amazing. We typically think of people who are in the public eye as egocentric, etc. And every once in a while, we get proof that that's not necessarily the case. So whether it's Dolly Parton donating $1 million to Vanderbilt, and a good friend of hers who's a physician, to do research on COVID at Vanderbilt, or Elton John, Billie Eilish, Alicia Keys, Lady Gaga, Mariah Carey, Lizzo, and so many other artists doing literally a concert from home. Like it's kind of insane. And when I give you the link, you'll be able to see this if you haven't streamed it and you didn't see it live. Literally Elton John sitting in his kitchen on an electric piano, Mariah Carey in her home studio with all of her backup singers streamed in. Demi Lovato was in it, Alicia Keys on her piano, Billie Eilish with her producing partner on a couch, just singing songs. Yes, entertaining us all. So again, doing what they're good at and contributing to our well-being, but also raising over $1 million for first line responders in this time. It was really, really beautiful. Also, we all know that there's a huge shortage of PPE, personal protection equipment, for healthcare workers. And so Formula One has helped by providing breathing aids for the National Health Service in Europe. How gorgeous is that? Also, we're seeing more collaboration around countries. Germany is taking in COVID-19 patients from Italy and France and offers countries around them ICU beds because they're at such shortage, especially in Italy and France. But also Russia is sending millions of pieces of equipment to the U.S. to help. It's actually a really, really beautiful thing to see, is the collaboration that can be happening across countries. So, countries are realizing we're going to have to work together to make this happen. And obviously, one of the fallouts of this entire thing is money, right? So many families are worried about food, about being able to pay rent, etc. And I actually was invited to a wedding that got canceled because of COVID-19. We were going to go to Mexico, and it all got canceled. And there's a story here in Elle magazine about a bride and a groom who donate the 400 meals they had planned for their wedding to hospital staff instead of throwing it away. And I think that's a beautiful thing for all of us. Another thing, the healthcare workers in our field right now are slaving while the rest of us are stuck at home. They are working harder than ever before. I'm working more than before, but not on the front lines like these guys are. So I've loved the stories of people responding. So we talked about money before, but people are sharing stories all over the world on Instagram and on Facebook. New Yorkers are going to the top of their roofs or outside their balconies to applaud the healthcare workers in New York every evening. You can watch these videos. It's so inspiring to see thousands and thousands of people who are responding in this way, and I mentioned celebrities, but I mentioned some of them, but even some of the Kardashian crew is getting into this. Ariana Grande, Taylor Swift, Britney Spears, all helping provide money for first responders and for their fans, right? Some of these people are actually literally making smaller donations to individuals. I've also seen a lot of mental health workers stepping up. So at Ignited, we have a 2-week free access to now 6 days a week online support groups. A lot of self-help groups, NA, Smart Recovery, AA, etc., have gone online. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing to watch all of us try to figure out how to help in this crisis. And it seems sometimes like it's not enough, but I got to tell you, if you tuned into that concert, seeing these musicians giving a free concert to the world, not only to make us better and feel better in the moment, but to raise money for the people who are making a difference. It's exactly, to me, what the world is about. So let me go through some more of these stories. Some of these are amazing. I talked about taking control and doing things you're good at. I love this little story about people who are art lovers who are getting together or getting together these replications of art pieces that they love and taking pictures of them and then posting them. Why? Because they love art and they're trying to do something that they can make sense of their world. So they're recreating pieces of art. Along with that, there have been, I don't even know how many stories I was reading earlier, but dozens of stories of a cappella groups and musical groups, musicians who are producing these pieces of art. There's not another way of talking about it. These massive, like, orchestral reincarnations, reimaginings of songs, anywhere from Somewhere Over the Rainbow to What the World Needs Is Love. So many of these groups that are getting together individually in their homes, either doing it all together on a Zoom or something along those lines, or some of these are in schools and they're piecing it together. It's a beautiful thing. And then to get back onto showing those who are doing the work, the love. Some people have gone in front of hospitals because they can't come in. They don't want to put themselves at risk, but in front of hospitals and painted in chalk these amazing, empowering, and inspirational messages for the healthcare workers. I don't know how many of you have ever seen those libraries, those they have these like mini libraries. People will post, they'll put on a post like a little box where you can put books in them for kids to read. Some people have been loading those up with foodstuffs for people who are going hungry to be able to get food. There are dozens and dozens of examples of this. I actually had a friend who told me a story about her daughter whose birthday is falling in the middle, or fell right in the middle of all this. And obviously her friends couldn't come to her birthday. So her entire class got in their cars and drove around the block. So each family was in its own car. Nobody kind of crossed those lines. But they drove around, honking their horns, made signs for her, and screamed and sang happy birthday out of the windows of their cars. And I see that that's happening in a few different places. The reason I want you guys to understand these stories is we can all do something. We can all do something. If you have money, you can give money. If you have food, you can give food. If you're good at singing, then sing for us. If you're good at writing, write us poems, write us stories. I'm seeing these DJs that are doing virtual parties online. Maybe that's something I should do too. Again, here at Ignited, we're providing as much online free help as we can. Don't sit back and just wait for this to be over and feel like you're being impotent and there's nothing you can do. There's so much you can do, and there's so much that people need. Buy food from local restaurants. Help businesses locally. For those of you who are in business, if you haven't heard, the Small Business Administration And this stimulus package from the government is doing a lot to help. Forgivable advance loans, full-on loans, payroll loans for those of us who are struggling to make payroll for our people so we don't have to fire them. There's a lot. There's just so much happening. And I don't have an exercise today. I don't have an endpoint except for telling you, I want you to read these stories. We're going to put the links. There's at least 3 or 4 websites that are sharing dozens of these stories. I want you to read them and I want you to be inspired. I want you to go out and do what you can do because there's something. There's something. And the beauty of it is you will get help by feeling useful again, by feeling more in control again. And the people that you serve will be grateful for a lifetime. And maybe, who knows, maybe you'll even create lifelong relationships. So that's my message for today. If you guys are down, I'd love to hear what you've done. Share with us. Let's make it public. And the reason we got to make it public is if we talk about it publicly, more and more people will be inspired to do what they do because you will give us ideas. Listen, I love you all so much. There's so much uncertainty. Nobody knows the kids are going back to school this year. Nobody knows if summer is being canceled. We don't know anything. So let's do the best that we can right now to live the best life we can. Thank you all for everybody who's doing something out there. And I can't wait to hear what you guys will do yourselves. Thank you for tuning in to the Ignited Heroes Recovery Podcast. I really hope you found the information here useful and that we'll see you back here next week. And look, I want to make sure that this podcast is the most useful it can be for you. So please let me know by emailing info@ignited.com if there are any specific topics or questions you'd like to have addressed. As usual, if you like this episode, I would love for you to leave us a 5-star review and rating. Thanks, and see you next week.